he's not nowhere near on the level of Conor McGregor. Let's be real. Stop it. Don't ever compare him to Conor. Conor was here. He's here.
That dude drunk, you know. Hey, you know, a lot of MMA guys, they drink a lot, so he must have been on that alcohol that day.
To compete with these guys in boxing. It's not fighting. It's boxing.
Sure. And no, of course I do not. If he could have made it in boxing and that's what he wanted and he wanted those fights, he would have chosen boxing. No, I don't. However, Daniel, I look at it just slightly different as a viewer.
Speaking like a fighter that is knocking out most people that he comes into contact with, okay? Fair play. And with 4-ounce gloves on, and certainly inside an octagon, there's a very good chance that he would do that to Terence Crawford. But in a boxing ring, it is different. And we just saw the skill and the fight eye.
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude. You know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look
right, not now. It's at 175, yeah.
He probably can't even make 168 no more. But when you look at these fights, you know, especially coming up, you gotta be realistic. You gotta, you know, say, all right, you know, how big is this dude really is? Because
the tension between Terence Crawford and Illia Topuria has reached a boiling point, fueled by sharp words, bold callouts, and fiery reactions from across the combat sports world.
You know, I'm not worried about that guy at all. You know, it's crazy how, you know, things work. You know, I didn't even know who he was. When he seen me at the UFC, he came up and shook my hand saying, "What's up?" to me. I didn't even know who he was, you know, but then I see him online talking about he'd knock me out in the first round and this and that and this. Well, if you wanted to fight me, you had the opportunity to tell me, like, hey, man, I want to fight you. What's up? Like, that's fake.
What started as a dismissive remark quickly spiraled into a heated exchange that has drawn in fans, fighters, and analysts alike. At the center of it all stands boxing's undisputed champion and an undefeated UFC lightweight king, both unwilling to back down from the spotlight.
He's too big. He's too Mr. Fancy. Crawford would probably roll in and bring a pizza with him, right? It's how he feels. So, Crawford gets called out by Illia. Now, we see this all the time. This an MMA guy going after a boxer will just never end. And frankly, Conor getting the actual fight with Mayweather made it so it can't ever end.
The sparks began flying in the aftermath of Crawford's monumental victory over Canelo Alvarez, a fight that confirmed his place as one of boxing's all-time greats. While Crawford celebrated becoming the first male boxer in modern history to claim undisputed titles across 3 weight classes, Illia Topuria seized the moment to throw his name into the conversation. The UFC lightweight champion, boasting an undefeated record of 17-0 in MMA and 9-0 in the UFC, declared on social media that if given the chance to step into a boxing ring with Crawford, he would knock him out with the very first punch. That audacious claim didn't shake Crawford in the slightest. Instead, the undefeated boxer laughed off the call-out, calling Topuria delusional and even referring to him as drunk. To Crawford, the UFC champion was simply another fighter seeking attention from boxing's pound-for-pound king.
From the UFC world, Illia Topuria says that if you guys ever boxed, he would knock you out based on the first punch.
That dude drunk, you know. Hey, you know, a lot of MMA guys, they drink a lot, so he must have been on that alcohol that day.
Topuria, however, did not let the comments slide. Taking the remarks personally, he doubled down on his ambition to face Crawford. He reminded fans and the boxer himself that during a previous encounter at the UFC Performance Institute, Crawford had wished him luck with his fight. For Topuria, this was proof that Crawford did know who he was, even if he now pretended otherwise. On social media, he fired back, saying that while Crawford's memory might fail, his chin would soon follow. From there, the back and forth intensified. Topuria framed the potential fight not just as a personal rivalry, but as a battle between 2 worlds, MMA versus boxing, with each man carrying the pride of his discipline. He promised to represent the entire MMA community and insisted that in a boxing ring, he would put Crawford to sleep on the very first exchange. The boldness of his words only added fuel to the growing fire.
Illia Topuria goes out and tweets, if I were to face Terence Crawford in boxing, I would put him to sleep. Now, this was after Terence Crawford went on the Nelk Boys podcast. Kyle said, who do you think the best boxer in the UFC is? Have you seen Illia? He goes, oh, no, it's easily Cody Garbrandt.
Have you seen Topuria? Have you seen his fights recently?
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Cody got them hands.
Obviously, Illia, that's probably maybe ignited a beef, and Terence Crawford is wrong. Illia Topuria is the best boxer in the UFC. Does this eventually set up an Illia into boxing?
If Illia does go on and knock out 2-3 more people, he could probably go and face a boxer.
Or, just fight Jake Paul. Either way.
Crawford, unbothered by the escalating talk, brushed aside Topuria's pursuit as nothing more than clout chasing. In his view, Topuria was simply looking for a big payday and attempting to ride the wave of his historic win over Canelo. Speaking candidly, Crawford emphasized that he had never even seen Topuria fight, despite following MMA closely. The contrast with McGregor, he argued, was stark.
What money would I get out of fighting him? Tell me how much I'm gonna get out of fighting him.
Well, I know Floyd made a lot, obviously, to fight Conor.
He's not nowhere near on the level of Conor McGregor. Let's be real. Stop it. Don't ever compare him to Conor. Conor was here. He's here. Like I said, I don't know this guy. I never seen this guy fight. And I watch a lot of MMA, you know what I mean? Maybe, I'm slipping. Maybe he's a good fighter, you know what I mean? I don't know. But I honestly never seen this guy fight, for sure.
According to Crawford, the situation was even more puzzling given their previous meeting. He pointed out that when they crossed paths in Las Vegas, Topuria had greeted him politely, shaking hands and offering no mention of a future fight. Now, only months later, the UFC champion was making grand claims online about knocking him out. To Crawford, this came across as fake behavior, an attempt to stir controversy after the fact.
If I don't like somebody, if I want to fight them for whatever reason, I would have been like, hey, what's up, man? What you think about me and you fighting? I'm not going to go hide behind the keyboard and then be like, oh, I knocked this dude out, this and that and this. I think that's fake. I definitely think he's trying to clout chase.
Despite Crawford's dismissive tone, the feud has sparked major debate across the fight community. Analysts, fellow fighters, and even legends have weighed in with their takes on the unlikely rivalry. Former UFC stars Chael Sonnen and Daniel Cormier both offered interesting perspectives, acknowledging that while the clash might be entertaining to discuss, the gap between the two sports remains significant. What they did agree on, however, was that both Crawford and Topuria have carved out legacies in their respective fields, gaining the kind of stardom many fighters only dream of.
Have the skill set like Conor McGregor, where he can actually make this happen. Whether he does or not, can he make this happen? In Illia Topuria right now, no, that is not going to be taken serious. Illia Topuria is on the verge of a stardom like we've never seen. And when he gets to that point, which by the way, could only be 6 months from now, all of a sudden, it's not as ridiculous of a concept as you might think. And you want to know who was very respectful of this call out? It happened to be Crawford. There is something about MMA that Crawford actually really respects.
Yes.
He got a little wrestling background in him. There's something about Crawford where we as MMA fighters kind of feel like we know him and he's one of us.
Michael Bisping also added his voice to the conversation, though his reaction leaned more toward amusement. Finding the situation hilarious, the former UFC champion warned that Topuria was biting off more than he could chew. Bisping stressed that boxing is a completely different world from MMA, and even a knockout artist inside the octagon would struggle to adjust to the precision, pace, and skill of elite-level boxing. He pointed to Crawford's performance against Canelo as proof of just how dangerous the boxer remains, emphasizing that Topuria's belief in a first-punch knockout was pure fantasy.
Of course, speaking like a fighter that is undefeated, speaking like a fighter that is knocking out most people that he comes into contact with, okay? Fair play. And with 4-ounce gloves on, and certainly inside an octagon, there's a very good chance that he would do that to Terence Crawford. But in a boxing ring, it is different. And we just saw the skill and the fight IQ and the footwork and the brilliance and the all-round ringsmanship of Terence Crawford on Saturday night. He went out there and he beat Canelo Alvarez, made Canelo look kind of ordinary. And Canelo's a great fighter, by the way. So this all culminates with Terence Crawford, of course. He's doing the rounds, he's doing interviews, and he was asked about Illia Topuria, and he was asked about the potential of fighting him, and he was like, why? For what? You know? And he was told, for money, by Ariel Helwani. He said.
Meanwhile, Crawford himself continued making media rounds, speaking about his victory and the challenges ahead. In a sit-down with Stephen A. Smith, he reflected on the magnitude of defeating Canelo and discussed potential future opponents. While he entertained hypothetical names, he made it clear that fighters like Topuria were not on his radar. For Crawford, the focus remained on meaningful matchups within the boxing world, ones that could add to his already historic legacy.
Especially now that you moved up to 168 and did what you did. Canelo hasn't fought David Benavidez yet, and a lot of people looked at him having to move from the super middleweight to the light heavyweight division to get some of the matches that he wants. But if you were at 168, when we think about anybody at 168 outside of Canelo, the first name that comes to anybody's mind is David Benavidez. What about the potential for a fight like that?
Oh, like I said, man, that's a big dude. You know what I mean? He ain't even at 168. You know, when you look
right not now, it's at 175, yeah.
He probably can't even make 168 no more. But when you look at these fights, you know, especially coming up, you gotta be realistic. You gotta, say, all right,
Even as the feud raged, other voices chimed in on Crawford's career and recent triumph. Dimitri Bivol, one of the few fighters to defeat Canelo Alvarez, praised both men as legendary figures in the sport. Meanwhile, Israel Adesanya, never shy with his opinions, dismissed Canelo as great, mocking the Mexican star for raising his hand as though he had won.
Most people don't know shit about boxing, but Terence "Bud" Crawford does. Great fight, shutout. Just what I assumed would happen. This boxing smart would beat Canelo's tactics. Like from round 2, I saw Canelo being on the back foot, and eventually Crawford was just dancing around him, doing his thing. So yeah, again, I like Crawford. I just think the way he fights is clean. Like, he makes very little mistakes, and he knows the sweet science of boxing. So yeah, he showed why he's the best right now. One of the best in history.
The praise did not stop there. Keith Thurman celebrated Crawford's victory, recalling how many doubted his prediction that Bud would prevail. To him, Crawford's boxing was anything but boring. It was a display of pure skill and a flawless game plan.
What's up, people? It's the morning after the big fight. Crawford Canelo. Shout outs to Crawford. You did it, boy. You did it. For those who still aren't quite sure what they witnessed last night, I'm gonna let you know that you witnessed what is called a notorious boxing clinic. This is everything done right, okay? First, he worked behind the jab, people. Boxing 101, set your shots up behind the jab. Canelo froze up. He was able to minimize the pressure. Step 2, use the ring. Use the ring. Get to the outside. Make Canelo pivot. Make him pivot. Don't let his feet settle. Okay? Pick your spots. This was a notorious hit and don't get hit. That's boxing 101, people. It's actually the definition of boxing. For those who don't know the definition of boxing, it's to hit and not get hit. It's almost like a game of tag, to simplify it for you folks, all right? And yes, Crawford was tagging him, not just with the jab, moving, but he was able to do another key factor, which is get respect in the ring. He was able to hold his ground in pockets, work the body, go toe-to-toe, and catch him with that speed. Bah! With that speed, the straight left, the little uppercuts and the hooks to the body. Like I said, people, it was a clinic.
Moving on, the feud with Topuria may be dominating headlines now, but Crawford's legacy continues to grow. With 42 wins, no losses, and 20 consecutive world title victories, he has achieved milestones few fighters can match. His win over Canelo not only elevated his status, but also reminded the world of his unmatched mastery in the ring.
For sure, this is definitely a signature win. You know, moving up 2 weight classes, being the B-side, fighting a guy that's been undefeated in the division, undisputed, going to take all his titles, you know, doing everything that I said I was going to do. You know, of course, this means a lot.
As for Topuria, his determination to bring MMA into the boxing spotlight shows no signs of fading. With his undefeated streak and reputation for knockout power, he remains one of the UFC's brightest stars. Yet stepping into a ring with Crawford is a challenge unlike any other. Analysts argue that the gulf between sports is massive, and while MMA fighters have had crossover success in generating attention, matching skills with an elite boxer like Crawford is another matter entirely.
UFC lightweight champion Illia Topuria saying he's going to knock out Terence Crawford. Can we expect some crossover boxing matches like you did with Mayweather and McGregor moving forward?
I certainly hope not.
At the same time, the rivalry has proven one thing: crossover fights continue to capture the imagination of fans. Whether or not Crawford and Topuria ever share a ring, the heated exchanges have already delivered entertainment. From Crawford's sharp dismissal to Topuria's bold promises, the feud embodies the clash of egos, legacies, and ambitions that drive combat sports forward.
Illia Topuria walks out to that song in the UFC.
You said what?
Illia Topuria walks out to that song in the UFC.
Did he? Oh. Good for him.
How do you feel you compare with Floyd with the resume you have now?
Listen, Floyd was the greatest in his era. I'm the greatest in my era. It ain't no need to compare me to Floyd or Floyd to me.
In the end, the feud between Terence Crawford and Illia Topuria may never evolve into a fight, but its impact is already undeniable. It has stirred conversations across both boxing and MMA, invited analysts to weigh in with bold opinions, and highlighted the fine line between ambition and reality. Crawford's legacy as a boxer grows stronger by the day, while Topuria's willingness to challenge one of the sport's greatest champions proves his fearless mindset. Whether fans view it as comedy, rivalry, or genuine possibility, one thing is certain: the drama isn't ending anytime soon. That's the latest on the wild back and forth between Terence Crawford and Illia Topuria, with Conor McGregor's name still looming large over the whole conversation. The feud is heating up, analysts are weighing in, and fans can't stop talking, so you already know this story is far from over. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay locked in on every twist, turn, and call out across boxing and MMA, make sure to hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Ring Rivalry. Big fights, big drama, and even bigger rivalries, we've got it all covered.